Hey folks, how's it going? So, one thing that I've been seeing here lately that I've already talked about is the egg shortage. Prices of eggs are going up tremendously, and eggs, the supply is not as good as it used to be. Most stores have 50% or less of the available supply that they usually do. So, I've been looking at powdered eggs online. To get them in the number 10 cans from Ready Hour, August Farms, and Everyday Essentials, or Emergency Essentials, I'm sorry. For a long time there, they were over $100 a can. And each can has roughly 72 powdered eggs in it. So I started looking at the idea of doing powdered eggs at home, dehydrating them at home. I don't have a freeze dryer. That's one way you could do it. Would probably be a better way. But I don't have a freeze dryer, so I can't do it that way. But I do have a dehydrator. So I started researching it. Now, to dehydrate them, you need special, you need special trays. And I found these on Amazon. These are really shallow plastic trays that go into your dehydrator. I bought these particular ones because just about every tray that I found was either for a square dehydrator, the square trays for the Cabela style dehydrators, or the hole in the center was like 2 1/4 inches or something like that. Well, the hole right here in the center of my dehydrator is 3 inches or a little bit more. I think it's right at 3 inches. And this is the only tray that I could find that had a matching hole that size, so it would fit properly in my dehydrator. I believe that these came in a 2-pack. I believe they were about $13 or so. The link is going to be in the description below. But again, I did some research. You can either dehydrate eggs raw or you can do them cooked. If you do them raw, what's typically done is you crack open some, put them in a blender, and blend them up, or in my case, I'll put them in a measuring cup and whisk it up really, really good. Now I'm going to pour these in here very slowly, going around. And I probably could have whisked these up a little bit better because they're not blended quite as good as I would like. But this is my first time trying this, so you know, it's a learning experience for me, and I figured I'd share that experience with you folks too. All right, so, dang, I keep bumping my microphone. Sorry about that. Most people that I talked to, they had their dehydrator. They could put like 6 eggs on a tray. Well, I only did 4 large eggs. And as you can see, that tray is really full. And if you notice, it's really, really shallow. So 4 eggs, it's right up here to this lip. Get you down here where you can see it. So I wouldn't do more than 4 eggs per tray on this. And I'm glad I only started out with 4. I figured if I put 4 in there and I had plenty more room, I could always whisk up another couple of eggs. But anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the lid on this, set that tray over there. I'm gonna put my lid on there and I'm gonna start it up. And this thing's really noisy, so I'm gonna wait a minute before I start it up. But I'm gonna let this run about 12, actually I'm probably gonna let it run about 15 hours because I've seen other people do them in videos and they did theirs about 12 to 15 hours. One lady, she did hers, tried to speed it up. She would come in here every so often and stir them up on here as they were trying to dry. Her theory was by stirring it up, it would dry quicker. What I noticed in her video though was that when she did that, she would be mixing the really dry pieces with the still runny parts. So she would end up with these big clumps or globs, and it would just sit there, and you know, the thicker it is, the slower it's gonna dry out, the longer it's gonna take. So I'm gonna let this run for 12 to 15 hours. If it needs to run longer, I can let it run longer. I would rather let it run longer and thoroughly dry out rather than being here trying to stir it up and get some of the wet mixed in with the dry and clump it all up and make a nasty mess. But what you would do is once you start this up, You would let it run till they're dry. You want them to be really nice and dry and crispy, where they break really, really easy. Then you would let it cool off. And from there, you can dump them into a blender or a food processor and grind them up into a powder. That powder can be transferred to a mason jar, and you can either vacuum seal it with a food saver, vacuum sealer attachment, or you can put drop an oxygen absorber in there. I prefer the food saver attachment because you can always use a food saver off of in a grid down situation, you can run it off of a solar panel and battery backup or a generator. The oxygen absorbers, you're going to have a limited supply. If the grid goes down and supply runs out, you're out. That's it. So I would much rather try to use things that I can at least kind of keep going in the interim if the grid goes down and I have no power. But anyway, I've got these ready to go. I'm going to turn them on. We'll start it running, and I'll be back in 12 to 15 hours or so, somewhere around in there, and we'll see what it looks like, and I'll show you, and I'll give you my review on the trays and what I think of the process overall. All right, so I'll see you in a little bit. Might help if I turn that on, right? I'll see you in a little bit, folks. Hey, folks. So I had some stuff I had to do today, so I ended up leaving the eggs in the dehydrator longer than I anticipated. I originally planned to only leave them in there for about 12 to 15 hours. But I left them in there for about 16 hours or so, and then I had to get up this morning. I had a bunch of stuff I had to do, so they've been in there probably over 20 hours now. Yeah, almost 22 hours. So let's turn it off and let's take a look at them real quick. All right, so there they are. I know it looks kind of nasty, but they are super, super dry. And what you would do from here, you can gather them up and put them in a blender or a food processor, grind them up into a powder. You probably want to let it cool off first because they're pretty warm right now, and you don't want any kind of moisture or condensation to build up. So let them cool off, put them in a food processor or a blender, grind them into a powder, put them into a mason jar, and you can vacuum seal that with a food saver machine. Or you can just toss in an oxygen absorber if you want. But they actually turned out pretty good, so I'm going to do some more. The tray seems to have held up pretty good. I know I've read some comments from a few other people about how the tray warped from the heat. I haven't seen this problem. Of course, I've added extra layers to raise it up as high as possible to keep it off the direct heat. And when you wash this, I would wash it by hand. I wouldn't wash it by putting it in the dishwasher, just as a precaution. But these come in a 2-pack. I think I paid like $12 or $13 or something for the 2 of them. I'm going to put the Amazon link to them down below. I might order me a couple more. That way I can do more eggs at one time. But I'm fixing to get these out of here, let them cool off, and then grind them up. And I might even start some more eggs. But this tray, what I did, most of the trays you see on Amazon are the center hole here is a smaller diameter hole because most dehydrators have a smaller diameter here. This hole in the center of my dehydrator is about 3 to 3.5 inches, if I'm not mistaken. And this is the only tray I found with a center hole the same size as what my dehydrator has. So that's why I bought these. But they seem to have worked out pretty good. So again, yeah, I'm going to include the link down below. I'm going to grind these up, let them cool off, then I'm going to grind them up and put them in a jar and seal them. And I'm going to do that with a lot more because, yeah, it looks kind of nasty, but these are all really dry and crispy, which is what you want. And I left them in there a little bit longer than I really needed to because I was out doing a bunch of errands, and it took me a longer amount of time to get back than I thought. So, but no harm done. That doesn't hurt anything. In fact, that just ensures that they're dry. All right, so that's it, folks. I hope you found this useful. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And just, yeah, stay busy. Stay productive. Keep doing things. Keep trying things out. This was my first run at this, so I'm actually pleased with the result. I didn't grind these up, obviously, but that's something that I got to do a little bit later. But, yeah, my first time doing it, and I'm happy with it. I'm going to do some more. Just an option for you to consider. Maybe it's right for you. Maybe it's not right for you. That's all I've got. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, folks, take care.